Hi guys, welcome to Log Cabin Gaming. So you've just bought your copy of Warcry and you've opened it up and you are suddenly overwhelmed with the amount of grey plastic and sprues that you've seen in it. Well, fear not, what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how to quickly paint your terrain to a decent standard very quickly and easily. You know, you could probably get through all the terrain in an afternoon, if not a couple of hours. It's going to be basic technique like dry brushing, so we're going to spray all the ruins and the statue head in Chaos Black, and all the wooden stuff, the spikes and what have you. I've got this Plastickote paint. It's basically designed to go over plastic and metal, and it's perfect. This is a chocolate brown in matte finish, and I didn't go out and buy it specially, I just had it lying around from previous projects, so that's going to be perfect for me. You might want to get your own brown paint from wherever, but I'll put a description of this in the description of the video. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We're just going to go out and base coat these, and then we'll be back. One thing to note actually before we go is the Plastickote stuff does take quite a while to dry. This stuff will dry in about 10-15 minutes, but I would give this an hour or so just to let the tackiness go. But then once that's done, once these are dry, you can actually rattle through these, you know, in, I don't know, 15-20 minutes each. It really is no time, and because we're not actually painting anything, we're dry brushing, there's no drying time once you've done the base coat. Okay, so I'm going to go and get some stuff done, and then we'll be right back. Hi guys, welcome back. So we have base coated the ruins black, so I've got a couple here. They have been done black, they're nice and dry, and then I've got these wooden pieces here that've got the nice chocolate brown colour. So that's what we'll be working on for the rest of this video. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to start off with the ruins. Okay, put this one to one side. I've got a big fat dry brush. Get my towel. And I'm going to get Mechanicus Standard Grey. What I like to do is I like to put a bit of paint on the palette and then wipe it off. It means that when this brush invariably dries up, I can just grab a bit more. Okay, so we've got Mechanicus Standard Grey, and then all we're going to do, we're just going to lightly dry brush that all over. You can see it's just picking up the raised edges. Okay, I'm going to do that for both pieces, and then we'll be back. Okay, and that's what the ruins look like after the first coat of Mechanicus Standard Grey. That has probably taken me 7 minutes to do. So like I said, it's pretty quick. It still looks a bit dark, but that's fine because things will really transform now. We're going to apply a second coat of dry brushing of, where is it? There it is, Dawnstone. So you're going to get your Dawnstone, and we're going to do exactly the same thing, and you'll really see it start to pop now. Still using the large dry brush. I haven't washed it or anything. It's got grey on it. We're just going to add another grey. Okay, so let's do that. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, as a good tip, is when you're doing this, some of the models there have got these portcullis things. Or metal grills and what have you. If you can avoid dry brushing them, it will really help with the effect later on when we go to paint those the metal colour. Okay, so I'm going to get my Dawnstone, and then we are going to dry brush again. Right, so here we go. Let's get some Dawnstone on the brush. Take most of this off. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply a reasonably light dry brush over here, and what you'll see is it really start to lighten up, but it's still got the nice black undercoat from before. So it looks nice and old. There we go, we're going to get those flagstones at the top. Okay, that should be that. Okay, and that's what it looks like with the Dawnstone applied. So you can see they're really starting to come through. They look nice and kind of gothic, really, I would say. And that was another 2 minutes, so all in all we've had 9 minutes painting time, and you can see they're pretty much there. We're just going to apply one more layer of dry brush, and that is Karak Stone, and I'm probably just going to hit the all these little statues here, just to bring them out a touch. Okay, so we are going to use Karak Stone. You could use any kind of light colour, really, any light sandy colours. Andrew Dust would probably work as well, but yeah, I'm going to use Karak Stone, and then we'll see how that looks like. Right, I'm going to get my Karak Stone. Wipe that off a bit. And then, hopefully you can see that starting to pick up the statues. Look, that should be them done. Alright, and that's with the Karak Stone applied. So again, that was another 2 minutes, so total paint time so far has been 11 minutes, and we're pretty much there. All we've got to do now really is just dry brush the wood on the top and the metal grills, gates, and then we are pretty much done. Okay, so we'll be back. Now I'll probably wash and dry my brush. Useful if you've got another brush while this one is drying. I'll be using another dry brush to do the metals and browns. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back. So what I've got now is Balthasar Gold, and I'm going to just do the same thing again, get my dry brush, and we're going to gently just rub it over the grills. Now, do you remember earlier I said if you can avoid hitting these with the grey, it will add to the effect. If you can see now, even though it's originally like a shiny bronze colour, when you dry brush it over the black, you get this tired looking kind of copper colour, which I really like. I dry brush all my Bloodthirster armour this way just because it makes it look nice and worn and kind of like an expensive copper. But here we're going for a kind of like a nice weathered look, and when we add the silver dry brush after this, it will kind of really add to it. So we can just get here. You don't have to be super neat, and you don't have to get a 100% coverage because it is, after all, ruins. So yeah, I think there's only 2 on that one. Okay, that should do on that one. Alright, whilst we're here, I'll put that brush to one side and then get a small dry brush. I'm going to get some Rhinox Hide, and we're going to do the same thing for the wood on the top. So let me just take some of that off. What I like about wood is it's got this nice natural grain that you can hit. Now the Rhinox Hide on the black, you probably won't see that much of a difference to start off with, particularly if you've got kind of like a good light for your painting. But when we add the second dry brush of a lighter brown, you'll really see it kind of come through. Even when you kind of turn off your painting lights, it'll be noticeable. Okay, there we go. There we have it. That's the end of the gold, or it's kind of like a bronzy colour, and the wooden effect dry brushing. Like I said, it's not really, I don't know if you can see the wood. It's still dark because of the colour we've used, but that will really pop out in the next stage, which is actually the final stage. So this was about another 4 minutes work. So all in all, I think we're roughly up to about a quarter of an hour's work to get these two pieces done. So not a massive amount of time. All right. Hi guys, so we're back. So now what I've got Runefang Steel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little bit of that and do the same thing with the dry brush. Just wipe it on my towel, so you've only got a very faint amount, you know, you basically got nothing left on your brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag it over the stuff that we've painted brass, or Balthasar Gold as it were. And what you'll see is it pick up the edges, and then it gives it this nice weathered kind of brassy steel look. Okay, we don't need to go crazy. Okay, picking up all those bits nicely. Take a bit more. And that's it for that one. Do the same on the other one. You can see that starting to pick up the edges and the little rivets and stuff. Okay, and there we go. That's the metals done. Now the same technique we're going to do for the wood. So I'm going to get my small dry brush, and I've got Gorthor Brown. Take a bit off the palette and just wipe that so only the very driest amount is left. And where we got our wooden patterns, you can see it's just picking up the raised edges. Have a look. Okay. And there we have it, and that's with the Runefang Steel and the Gorthor Brown applied. So you've got this nice wooden effect on the top and this kind of old looking rusty effect on the metals. Okay, lastly we've got an optional step that you might want to do on your ruined buildings and your statue's head. And I'm just going to show you on the statue's head here, and that's to apply a little bit of kind of earthen weathering along the base. So what we're going to do is get some kind of earthy greens, shades here and apply them together while they're all still wet, so they mix around. I've got Agrax Earthshade, some Rhinox Hide and some Athonian Camoshade, but it can be whatever colours you got to hand. And all we're really doing is just trying to add a natural look to some kind of weathering. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm probably going to do a full coverage of Agrax Earthshade. I'm going to open these up as well. And that's kind of going to make it look a bit browny there. Okay. I've got a large shade brush here, so it's really going to save a lot of time. Okay, that'll do there. Make sure it just doesn't pull, that's all. And then, whilst it's all still wet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a medium shade brush. I'm going to put it straight in my camo shade and just mix it around there. So I've got the green mixing with the brown. Okay. And I'll do some Rhinox Hide. And hopefully what that's going to give you is a nice kind of greeny, earthy, natural mix to the weathering. So it's going to look a bit maybe mossy when it all dries. And again, you can apply this as heavy or as light as you want. Okay. So once you've done that, wait for it about half an hour, 40 minutes to dry, and you can check how it comes out. But again, you could just play around with this, there's no right or wrong way. You can even apply it all the way up. I might even apply a bit of I've got some Biel-Tan Green. I might chuck in there as well. So we've got 2 shades of green, just to give it a nice natural fade. Okay, so I'm going to wait for that to dry and then we will be back. Now that the shade has dried, well practically dried, there's still a few bits drying, you can see the effect that's happened is towards the bottom of the statue it's a bit of a darker green mossy colour, and then that lightens up into a brighter brown colour on the top to give it look like it's got an aged appearance at the top and kind of more of an earthy moss towards the bottom, which is a nice effect that was very quickly done. So yeah, we could put a pin in that one. The statue is done, and it's just a few bits of the wooden terrain to complete now. Okay, now that the ruins and the statue has been done, we're just going to turn our attention back to the wood. If you remember, we sprayed them this kind of chocolate brown colour, and what I've done off camera is I've just coated them all in an Agrax Earthshade wash, just to highlight the recesses. So when that's dry, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the entire thing in a dry brush of Baneblade Brown. Normally I wouldn't go Baneblade Brown, I'd normally do something like maybe Gorthor Brown, but because this wood is similar to Gorthor Brown, we kind of want to go a bit lighter, but again you can just apply it to whatever colour brown you've gone for. Then after that I'm going to do a dry brush of Ushabti Bone to get all the skulls. I think there's some skeletons somewhere, yeah, and to be honest you'll probably hit all the rope binding it together, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It will kind of highlight those, and then towards the end I'm just going to do a very quick dry brush of Screaming Skull, literally just on the skulls and the bone, and that's only to give it a bit of a different shade between the rope and the skulls. I don't really want to be painting the rope individually, so I'm just going to dry brush it all Screaming Skull. Okay, when that's dry, I'm going to paint any metals, either in Leadbelcher or in Balthasar Gold, and then just dry brush all the metal wherever it's Balthasar Gold or Leadbelcher in our Runefang Steel again. So this is just all quick basic techniques. You can apply the principle to whatever you want. You've got these little bits that I've done off camera, so whenever you've got a kind of grey ruin, it's the same thing. Spray it black, dry brush it Mechanicus standard grey, Dawnstone and then Karak Stone, and that's what you get. That's not too bad. Same thing for here, I did that and then just dry brushed it Balthasar Gold and then Runefang Steel again with a bit of Screaming Skull. Again, it just takes seconds, but the effect you get when it's on the board is pretty powerful. Okay, so without further ado, what have I got? That's a shape brush. Large dry brush. We are going to go for Baneblade Brown. Okay. Let's get that on there. Probably don't want to take too much off. Okay. Just going to do this all over. The nice thing about Baneblade Brown actually is such a light brown, the skulls don't look out of place. Okay. As you can see how quick that is. If you wanted to, if it's a bit too light for your liking, you could then give it another coat of either Agrax Earthshade or Null Oil, and that will darken the whole colour appearance down, but that's only if you really want to. But let's do this and see how we get in. Okay, and then I'm going to get my Ushabti Bone. Just going to pick out the skulls quickly. And with all the skulls picked out, I'm just going to go over the skulls again, just in a Screaming Skull, just to differentiate them from the rope bindings. Okay, so I've applied the dry brush to the metal parts, and then all I'm going to do is just go over the entire model with Agrax Earthshade, just to kind of dirty it up a bit, make it look less new, and that will just add like a nice kind of oily, rusty feel to the metal, and it will also bring the bones, kind of make them look less stark compared to the wood. So yeah, what we're going to do is just liberally apply Agrax Earthshade to all these bits and pieces. I'm just going to blend it all in. Okay, and so I'm going to do all this and then wait about half an hour for it to dry, 30-40 minutes. You'll be able to tell when it's dry, and then we'll be back. Right, so I've applied the dry brush of the Runefang Steel to the Leadbelcher and brass pieces in exactly the same way as when we did the the portcullises and the gates on the ruins. Yeah, so pretty much everything's been dry brushed exactly the same way, and what I've done is I've gone back and I've given everything a coat of Agrax Earthshade, and I think that's the way forward. It's tied everything in nicely. Nothing looks sparse really. The wood looks, you can see if we get it, the wood looks like it's got a nice natural colour on it. So yeah, that's it. And then just using the principles we've been doing here, you can finish off these little bits and pieces here. So if there's anything that you think is grey, you just dry brush it with the Mechanicus standard grey, Dawnstone and Karak Stone, and kind of the little treasure bits, dry brush it, Balthasar Gold, and then Runefang Steel, and the skulls with Ushabti Bone, and you're pretty much there in a couple of seconds. So yeah, that's it. Next thing is to just put it on the battlefield and see how it looks. Okay, so I've set up the terrain now, just some kind of random setting. What I've done is I've sprayed all the bits and pieces in a Munitorium Varnish, because they're going to get handled a lot. And then once that was dry, just on a few bits, I added blood for the blood god, just to kind of show a bit of blood spatter, to see where stuff has been contested. Unfortunately, I haven't got round to painting the warbands that come with the set, because I've been doing the terrain, but there's a couple of warbands here that you might recognise from Shadespire Underworlds who are going to be battling it out. But yeah, so it came out pretty well. The terrain looks pretty good. Like I said, it only took a couple of hours to do. Easily do this in an afternoon or an evening. The longest bit is the drying times. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, share it amongst your peers, and subscribe please, because that really helps me out. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.